Coming up on today's show, Volvo's new plug-in hybrid S60 will be made in the USA, Porsche buying into Rimac, and Germany could win the battle for the European Gigafactory location. Well, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Hello and welcome to the Thursday, the 21st of June edition of EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here with the news you need to know about electric cars and the move towards sustainable transport. Well, as I was coming in to record the programme today, breaking news coming from Tesla. There's always something at the moment with Tesla. And after the news of potential sabotage and an internal investigation underway over the weekend, now Tesla have filed a lawsuit. They did it yesterday, alleging that a former employee hacked the company's system, and in the process of doing so, gigabytes of data were transferred out of the company to unnamed third parties. Now, the former employee has been named in this lawsuit. They claim that he unlawfully hacked the company's confidential and trade secret information, transferring that information to third parties. He also put hacking software into the computers of 3 individual employees to routinely export confidential data. And of course, that would happen even if he was discovered and left the company. Their other 3 computers would still do it, and of course implicate his colleagues falsely if this was true, which is a pretty scumbag thing to do. And also, Tesla allege in the lawsuit that whilst he's already admitted to them to hacking their operating system, and they also now accuse him of making false statements to the media about stolen information. Now, the suit was filed in the federal court in Nevada, first reported by CNBC and since reported by all the usual outlets. There's a really interesting thing here about the making claims to the media. You wonder how many people he's been talking to. One of them was, they claim he was the source of a single news report about a punctured battery cell, or lots of punctured battery cells, at Tesla's factory being used in Model 3s. They say, for example, he claimed that punctured battery cells had been used in Model 3 vehicles even though no punctured cells were ever used in vehicles, batteries or otherwise. He vastly exaggerated the true amount of value of scrap material that Tesla generates, or car companies do, during manufacturing processes, and falsely claimed that Tesla was delayed in bringing new manufacturing equipment online. Now, the lawsuit itself doesn't name that single news article, and the lawsuit at the moment also isn't against the media company that reported it. However, as many people have pointed out online, it does bear a striking similarity to a story which was published by Business Insider about scrap metal and punctured battery cells being used in Model 3s. Now, I've tweeted Business Insider tonight to ask for comment from them, to ask if the story there Tesla referred to was theirs or not, and also if this fired employee was their single source or if they had more than one source for their story. Hoping to get a response or a reply from Business Insider. Either way, it would be nice for them to deny it, because you'd hope that company lawyers are on top of that kind of thing and that no news outlet is reporting something which is false and made up, especially on something as serious as safety and punctured battery cells being used in Model 3s. If you're going to publish a story about something as critical as a safety issue, you always get more than one source. There always got to be separate sources. They've got to be first-hand as well. So, you know, a good news organisation, no doubt. I don't know much about Business Insider. You'd hope they got their stuff together and that all those I's were dotted and T's were crossed. Wait to see if they reply to me if that was the story Tesla are referring to in their lawsuit. Anyway, that breaking news as we come in to record it. More on that tomorrow, if it develops. Moving on to Volvo, and the first major automaker to publicly say they were going to electrify their entire range was Volvo. And now they revealed one of those models to drive the company into their electric future. If you're in the market for a BMW 3 Series type car, hold on to your wallets and check out the Volvo. First of all, it's the new S60, which US listeners to this podcast, you'd probably call it a mid-size sedan or a compact executive. It's being built built at their first plant in North America in South Carolina. It's a plant which will never see a diesel engine being put into one of these cars because diesel's been phased out by Volvo. In fact, it was double bubble because they launched the new car and inaugurated the brand new factory as well. So what can we expect from this US-built plug-in hybrid? Well, there are 4 engine choices for the new Volvo S60. 2 of them, though, are electrified. Those 2 engines run on gas, aka petrol. Hello, UK listeners. And it includes plug-in power. You can choose from the plug-in T6 twin engine or the 400 horsepower plug-in T8 twin engine. It's an all-wheel drive. And we recently told you about the Polestar option as well, which has been confirmed today. It sprinkles a little bit of Swedish performance fairy dust all over the car. Beefs up the brakes and the suspension and the tuning. And as for safety, well, that comes with things like Autobraking for collision avoidance with pedestrians or a Swedish elk. Some run-off road mitigation, some oncoming lane mitigation. Volvo have their pilot assist, which sounds a lot like ProPilot in Nissans as well, and definitely not as advanced as Tesla's autopilot. This is very much a little bit steery and a little bit brakey, but nothing more. Level 2 autonomous driving, if you will. Well, it can do 28 miles of pure EV range. And, oh, can I add, by the way, it looks bloomin' gorgeous. Prices start at $41,295 for anything with a battery inside it. The non-battery ones are cheaper. We don't care about those. Volvo are pushing their Care By Volvo plan. Now, Care By Volvo is the new subscription plan Volvo are trying out. I think more car manufacturers will be jumping on this one. Over 2 years, you get the plan. Over 2 years, 24/7 customer support, breakdown assistance, all your maintenance done, all the bits which wear out, wipers, brakes, tyres, that kind of stuff. And, of course, if it's a turnkey solution, you think insurance would be included? Well, that's sorted too. With Liberty Mutual. I'm really curious to see whether people start using these kind of subscription models like they don't, a lot of people don't own DVDs anymore, but they've got Netflix. And a lot of people don't have cable, but they watch over-the-top services like Hulu and Google and all those kind of things and YouTube. And a lot of people don't own CDs anymore, but they pay for Spotify or Apple Music. So will people stop buying cars and subscribe to them? We'll see. Moving on to Porsche next, and Porsche AG is taking a 10% stake in Rimac Automobili, the Croatian hypercar and electric vehicle components company behind the world's fastest electric car, according to TechCrunch. Great article. We'll put a link in the show notes if you want to click through to them. It's interesting that it's happening since the Rimac C_2... official name, is being designed with specs that would make your eyes water. Now, I think physically it would make your eyes water, and most big legacy makers have either been scathing or scratching their heads or just dismissing the outrageous specs of 1,914 horsepower, 0 to 60, 1.85 seconds. Many people saying not possible with an EV. According to TechCrunch, the company, which was founded by mate Rimac 9 years ago now, also engineers and manufactures high-performance electric vehicle powertrain systems and battery systems. Well, the company works with Renault, Jaguar, Aston Martin. Their tech was even used in that Jaguar E-Type Concept Zero thing. I forget the official name. You know, the one that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex as she is now, yeah, that one, the one they drove at the wedding last month. Now, do you think that this could mean that whilst things were going okay with Porsche and their what was formerly known as the Mission E, but the Taycan as it's now called, things were going okay, but they saw what Rimac were doing. They made the first car, undoubtedly brilliant, announced the second, and then saw it was real, not vaporware, and thought, we need some of that knowledge and expertise. Well, Top Gear website says that the CEO and namesake, mate Rimac, who remains a majority shareholder, says that entering into a partnership with Porsche is an important step for Rimac's strategy to become a leading EV tech supplier to global OEMs, so it's good for them as well. Well, Porsche's Lutz Meschke, I hope I've said his name correctly, said this, and I quote, "We feel that Rimac's ideas and approaches are extremely promising, which is why we hope to enter into a close collaboration with the company in the form of a development partnership," end quote. Well, there you go. So that's confirmation then that Porsche were looking over the road at Rimac and going, you know what, they've got something here. They're serious. They're doing it well. 400 employees. The company's putting together great cars. Let's have a piece of that. And also for Rimac, going, this gives us access to VW, a mega maker, and it's good for everyone. Win-win all around. Fantastic news. More positive news with EVs. It's what we keep saying every day. Loads of positive news. Well, I hate to juxtapose that positive story with this one, but here goes. You know how Tesla announced the semi-truck specs, and then straight afterwards, the head of Daimler Trucks, Daimler Truck's huge, by the way, said this: "We'll be buying two, one to test and one to take apart, because the technology," and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, "the technology doesn't exist." He also made a comment about the rules of chemistry being different in Nevada at the Gigafactory to Germany, where he is. And he was saying, look, from what we see, the specs aren't possible. And then recently at the shareholder event, Elon said, "Oh, by the way, it's going really well. We think we'll exceed those specs." So that was kind of a bit of a wake-up call, I think, to many. Maybe and a bit of embarrassing, possibly, for that guy from Daimler to say, because it's looking like it's probably right. Well, now Ford have had their say. Well, someone from Ford, but someone very high up who knows what he's talking about. The boss of Ford Performance in Europe told whichcar.com.au that battery technology isn't yet suitable for sports car duty. Now, I have a long love affair with Ford sports cars. They were amazing. They were on my bedroom wall. So I was born in 78. So that era of 80s and 90s Cosworths and Ford RSs and things like that, those were the everyday cars. Whilst I loved the Lamborghinis and loved the Ferraris, they were the everyday cars that you could actually get a glimpse of in the middle of nowhere where I grew up, and you'd see one, massive spoilers and things, and go, oh my God, so I have so much passion for Ford and making sports cars. Now, Leo Rox is the European director of Ford Performance, and he said this, and I quote, "I have to stay very high level and very neutral, as I don't want to make any hints about future products. We need to keep looking at the technology at this point in time. The expectation that we have on performance vehicles right now, it's very difficult to fulfill that with a fully electric vehicle. If we look at the battery at the moment," he says, "you can have an energy or a power battery. Now, the energy battery is like a big water tank with a small pipe. You can leave the tap running for a fairly long time. Not much water comes out of it, and it takes ages to empty the tank. Then again, it takes a long time to fill the tank up. However, for a power battery, it's like a very small tank of water with big pipes, which is relatively easy to drain and quite easy to fill." He says, "I'm looking for something in between. At the moment, the technology is not yet there. That's something we need to look at. The question is, how close can we get between power and energy?" End quote. Well, it's a good point, and obviously he knows what he's talking about. He's a far smarter man than I am. But just looking around at the people that are making performance cars that seem to balance, the reviews of the Jaguar I-Pace are now out, and everyone's raving about it. A lot of the reviewers were taken to the track that did lap after lap after lap. And that's an SUV/CUV, and it did really well in terms of energy versus power. And then if you look at, obviously, what's coming from Tesla, and with Roadster 2, or whatever we're going to call it, new Roadster, the specs on that are just crazy bonkers. But Tesla's saying, no, on our way to making it, it'll be 2020, we'll get there, don't worry. And so if others are doing it, why aren't Ford? And like I say, I have so much love for Ford sports cars. I would love to see them make great EVs. They seem like they're behind the curve. Maybe they're not. The people that I follow from Ford on my Twitter don't always seem the most passionate about EVs. Some of them I've seen sort of dissing EVs before, and you think, oh man, I would love Ford to make a great, even electrified car. But they're not, unless it's all happening behind the scenes. In the meantime, by the way, Ford not having to worry about volumes of sales, they still sell insanely popular cars, so it's not as if they're in trouble, but long term, I worry they're falling behind. Well, moving on to a segment that we should just call Elon Tweets, because we have enough material every day for Elon Tweets. This time it's about who's going to win the battle for European Gigafactory location. And now it looks like we have an answer. Elon tweeted this: Germany is the leading choice for Europe. Perhaps on the German-French border makes sense, near the Benelux. Is that Benelux or Benelux? It'd be Benelux, wouldn't it? Countries. Anyway, Investopedia reports that one European location where Tesla has ongoing operations is in Germany, 20 miles from the Belgian border and 60 miles from France. And that, of course, is when they bought Grohmann. Now it's called Tesla Grohmann Engineering, and it specialises, and it always has done, in automated manufacturing systems. And now they've terminated the other contracts, as far as I know, with all the other car makers, and they're purely working on the battery manufacturing facilities for Tesla. In recent times, Grohmann has successfully built a production line which was recently flown into the USA, and was one of the production lines in Nevada to support the production of the new Model 3. Well, a reminder of what Elon said at both the recent shareholder meeting and on the Q1 earnings call, Q1 2018 earnings call, all future gigafactories will produce batteries and assemble cars. They'll be self-contained. No more two factories and shipping parts between them. All continents, he said, will have a gigafactory, need a gigafactory, in fact, to produce enough cars at the right costs. But the goal is to have 12. Holy moly. Well, moving on to the next Uber that you jump into, and the next time you hail an Uber, it could be an electric one. Uber told us that we are excited to launch the EV Champions Initiative, a pilot program for driver partners to deliver at least 5 million EV rides over the next year. The program kicks off today, as of yesterday, on Wednesday, in 7 cities: Austin, LA, Montreal, Sacramento, San Diego, San Francisco, and Seattle. In partnership with leading EV experts, the program builds off the success of existing pilots in Pittsburgh and Portland, and we're proud to team up with the experts who have decades of experience of EV adoption, they say. Together, we hope to better equip both plug-in electric and fully battery electric vehicle drivers for success. Well, Adam Gromis is Uber's global lead on sustainability and environmental impact. Yes, that is a job title, and he does it. And he says this, and I quote, "What we've learned from drivers is that they love not paying for gas and giving riders a quiet, smooth, efficient and high-tech ride. But any EV driver is trying to operate this technology in a world that's not built for them. Starting today," he says, "riders will get a push notification alerting them when they've matched with an EV driver. At the moment, in the US, passengers won't be able to choose to ride in an EV, says Curbs.com. Currently, Uber offers the option for riders to choose an EV in some European cities. It operates under the name Uber Green, only offered in cities where they already have the number of EVs and density of charging infrastructure to support the feature. And of course, it is something to bear in mind that if you've got to stop for 30, 40, 50 minutes to fast charge back up to 80%, of course, that's time that you're not earning money, and a lot of Uber drivers might not have off-road parking or be able to charge overnight. So Uber supporting their drivers to move to electric, which is a great thing. Well, moving on to portable battery packs. And if you run out of energy in an EV, the only option you've got is to call recovery. But a recently developed totally portable EV recharge system designed to enable a stranded EV driver, which has depleted the high-voltage battery, to receive a charge at the roadside for a short period of time to allow you to kind of self-recover, if you like, from the roadside, is now here, reports electricvehicleresearch.com. Got a link in the show notes if you want to check out their website and their article. Really, really good. Go check them out. They say this: a roadside attending patrol can plug in this portable battery to an EV, 10-15 minutes of fast charging, and that will hopefully get you enough charge just to get to the nearest fixed location charger. Well, the great feature of this, the mobile electric vehicle service equipment, the MEVSE, if you like, it's designed is the capability using lithium iron phosphate batteries, 48-volt battery pack, and it can be recharged from the patrol vehicle whilst it's then moving on to the next spot. Or maybe patrol vehicles and recovery vehicles have it in the back of their van. They're going from ICE car to ICE car, and while they're doing that, they're charging up this, and then they get a call out from an EV driver who's run out of charge. They stop, top up the battery, and then move on. It'll be a great way for... See, in this country, we have the RAC, the Royal Automobile Club, and the AA, the Automobile Association. And of course, their business models are based around ICE cars breaking down, and when we move to EVs, which are more reliable, have fewer moving parts, that's a dodgy business to be in unless you can come and recover people with a battery pack on board your van. Brilliant. I'm sure they're going to be all over it. So wherever you are listening around the world, whatever your... is it called AAA in America? I only know that from watching American TV programs, by the way. Have you got alternatives, or is it just that one? Anyway. Right, moving on. And let's talk a bit of solar and EV charging. SolarEdge Technologies is unveiling its residential EV charging station this week at Intersolar Europe in Munich, following the recent debut of its EV charging single-phase inverter, which did everything in one. SolarEdge will also now provide a standalone EV charger in case your EV charger and your inverter for your solar can't be in the same location. Well, PV Magazine have got some more details on this. They say the new EV charger will be integrated into their smart energy suite from SolarEdge to support the energy independence, to get solar from your roof and PV into your EV. With a bit of management from their monitoring platform, EV charging can easily be controlled and programmed. You know what? I know someone who is at that, where it was unveiled in the Intersolar Europe. It's in Munich, actually. I know that Phil Roberts, who is someone from the UK, and he runs EF.Energy. That is Electric Futures, and his company install things like Tesla Powerwalls. And he's there at the moment. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to drop him a message today, and if I can get hold of him, let's give him a call on tomorrow's podcast, and if he picks up his phone, we'll ask him more about what's happening at that Intersolar Europe conference and what else he's seen. I'd love to get hold of him. That'd be so cool if we could. And finally, SP Group has today announced its plans to build Singapore's largest EV charging network in its bid to accelerate EV adoption in Singapore. This is according to SG Carmart, where we found this story. Go check them out for more details. By 2020, SP are going to put 500 charging points island-wide, located at places like shopping malls, residential areas, business parks, and industrial sites. It's going to be accessible to members of the public, and charging points are going to be compatible with all EV models that you can buy in Singapore. Now, the first batch of 30 charging points are going in right now by the end of the year, and the island-wide network is going to be fully compliant with the national charging standards, AC and DC chargers, and the power rating starts at 22, goes up to 50 kilowatts. And none of your crazy bonkers fast charging it, whatever we're calling 350 kilowatt chargers, super fast, mega fast, ultra rapid, those ones, right? Up to 50 kilowatts, that is going to be enough for now. Not exactly future-proof, but enough for now. Access is going to be via an app to initiate a charging session. Then you'll receive updates on its status, and you can make payment on it as well. So moving on to a few of the comments that we've seen today. Thank you so much for joining in with the conversation on Facebook and Twitter and on the YouTube comments as well. Thank you so much for those. Always good to read them. Hi to, I hope I get your name right, Nil Soto Jorgen. I think that's right. Now following us on YouTube. Hi to Mavis Garland, and Blip Bonkers is a big fan on YouTube. New subscriber includes Robert West. Hello, Robert. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast on YouTube. We'll also chat to Phil Roberts hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to pop him a message from Electric Futures, his company, who's over in Munich right now at that solar event. If we can get hold of him, he'll be a great update on the podcast tomorrow. And finally, this Saturday, we're lining up an interview to talk to a UK company that makes trucks, 7.5 ton trucks and 12 to 14 ton trucks, and they make range extended trucks. They take a cab or a truck shell from, I think it's Isuzu, or I forget the other one. Is it DAF, the other one? Anyway, they take the truck and then they put their own powertrain into it. It's a range extended powertrain. So it's a bit like the BMW system, as in the battery always drives the motor, but they put an engine on board for fleet operators who are still still a little bit nervous about their trucks running out of range somewhere. So if you would like to put a question to Teva Motors, and you can do it through me, or even just something generally about electrifying freight transport in those urban areas, then drop me a note on the socials, on the comment section, on the bit of the blog if you want to, and I will ask them on Saturday if we can line up the interview with them. Well, if you want to, you can also listen to all previous 156 episodes of this podcast, if you are a real glutton for punishment. They're all on iTunes, which is the biggie, but also Google Play, and Spotify have us on there as now. It's amazing if you listen to music on Spotify. There's other content on there too now. YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and of course the WordPress blog at evnewsdaily.com. If you subscribe, you get them first and free and automatically. If you can rate and review on those platforms, it means so much, like you wouldn't believe, to the kind of algorithm and the way it gets recommended to people who don't yet listen. And if you want to say hi on the socials, just search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you tomorrow.